is the last video in the creation of this album. There will be one more video, and that will have the completed album itself. So I wanted to make some tags to put behind the chipboard flourish from the last video. And so I'm just taking some white tags and spraying them with Glimmer Mist by Tattered Angels in Spring Mint. And actually you can see some of the shimmer in this video. Usually the shimmer does not show up well, but the shimmer on those two tags at the top of the screen, I think you can get a little idea of how it shimmers. So now I'm taking this stamp set from Inkadinkado, and I'm inking it up with white embossing ink, or watermark ink, and I'm going to stamp it over the Glimmer Misted tag. And then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with clear embossing powder, and I'll be using Zing from American Crafts. This is the clear. And then I'm going to heat emboss it, and then I'm going to do an emboss resist and cover the rest of the tag with distress embossing, with distress ink in Black Soot. So I'm then going to take a baby wipe once I've finished covering it with Black Soot, and I'm going to wipe it away. And two things are going to happen. It's going to come off anywhere that was embossed, so you'll be able to see those butterflies and the shimmer underneath, but it's also going to lighten up that black a little bit, and the green will show through the black, so it'll be a shiny black instead of just black. So now what I've done is I've actually used a handwriting stamp and stamped it, the next tag, and I'm in embossing powder as well, and covered it with white embossing powder. This is from Stampendous. And so now I'm embossing it, and then I'm going to ink the edges in the distress ink in Black Soot. And then for the third tag, I actually was too lazy to get out another stamp block. I put a B on the lid of the embossing powder, and I'm actually just using the lid of the embossing powder as a stamp block. And I stamped a B in watermark ink, and then I'm going to cover it with black embossing powder, also from Stampendous. And I'm going to heat emboss it. First, I'm just cleaning up the image a little bit with a fine-tipped brush. And then I'm embossing it in the black to make it shiny, and then I'm going to be inking the edges as well in the Black Soot. And that was the back of the second tag, I'm sorry. The third tag is actually going to have this journaling spot wrapped around. I'm going to apply half of it to the front, and then I'm actually going to flip it over and use my bone folder to get a good crease around the edge. And I'm just going to put that down. And then I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. Again, I'm going to use a watermark ink, and I'm going to be stamping a small butterfly. And I'm just going to stamp it in a few places around that journaling spot, just to give it a little bit of decoration. And the butterfly I'm using is part of a larger stamp, so that's why I'm holding it the way that I'm holding it, because I don't want to use most of the stamp. And now I'm going to do a black embossing powder on this as well. And again, I'm going to be using my paintbrush to clean up the image so I don't have embossing powder where I don't want it. I'm just trying to blow away. And now I'm going to ink the edges in Black Soot Distress ink as well. So these are my three tags, and I am not done with them quite yet. I didn't want to put a ribbon on them, but I thought they looked a little plain as they were, so I'm actually going to use these Maya Road flower-shaped gems, and I'm going to put those on the front of the holes and with a glue dot, and then on the back of the holes I'm actually going to put a basic gray gem in a coordinating color, so you won't see any holes on these tags at all once they're finished. Okay, so now I'm working on the next to last page, which I've covered in the same paper as the last page. and I wanted to incorporate this bird somehow, and I thought that what I would do is I would put him on a accordion photo mat, because I like to have plenty of room for photos and journaling in my albums, so I like to do these accordion mats when I have such a small album as this. And so I got this white paper, and I thought that was a little too plain just to have the pink bird on the white, so I decided to make a little miniature collage. So I'm going to be using 2 colors of basic gray paper. This is the Distressed Solids, one in a bright green and one in a bright blue. And I'm going to be putting it on this piece of paper with Mod Podge. So I basically put Mod Podge on the paper, and now I'm putting little strips of paper just kind of any which way. So I covered it with blue, and then I covered it with green. And I got very messy doing this, but it was kind of fun. I'm not a huge Mod Podge fan, but I will break it out every once in a while. So I set that aside to dry, and while it's drying, I'm going to put journaling spots on the photo mat, the accordion photo mat. And I'm just inking the edges in Robin's Egg Blue, and of course these are just squares of Scenic Root grid paper. This is the blue grid, that's the name of the paper. They have 6 different styles of journaling paper from what they call their background paper collection. And now I'm inking the inside of the fold-out mat with Robin's Egg Blue as well. And then I'm going to ink the edges of these and apply them as well. And now I'm going to trim my photo mat so it's nice and straight. And I am drawing a little cloud on just a piece of printer paper, which I'm going to cut out with my detail retractable craft knife. And this is a music note stamp from Unity Stamp Company, and I'm just going to use it with some black StazOn to stamp musical notes in the shape of little clouds for my little bird. And the shapes weren't distinct enough for me, so I just went around the edges with a American Crafts Slick Writer. And the reason I used black StazOn and the reason I'm using a Slick Writer is, of course, now that this has Mod Podge on it, it's a non-porous surface. And because it's a non-porous surface, I'm not going to count on the adhesive on the back of this chipboard bird to hold him on there, so I'm going to adhere him actually with glossy accents instead. And now that all of that is dry, I'm just going to stick it down on the fold-out mat there. And I'll bring it closer so you can take a look. Look how cute he is. And now I'm just going to stick this down. And remember, it's the same size as a photo mat on the other side, so the 2 do not show where they hang over the edge of the shaped album. And I just want to embellish a little bit more, so I have this sticker from the Basic Gray Urban Prairie collection. And then here's another sticker that I covered with glossy accents and let dry. And now I'm just accenting the centers of some of these blue flowers with pieces of Basic Gray bling in blue. And now I'm actually putting the whole album together. And the next video will be the completed album. I'm going to go through all the pages with you and show you everything close up so you can get a good look at it. So stay tuned for part 5, which is the last in the series. Thank you and have a great day.